In this video, you're going to learn why poker gets harder and harder every year you play it. And it's not for the reason you think. For those of you new to my channel, my name is Adam Carmichael. I'm a mindset performance coach who helps poker players to reach that next level of performance. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you smash the like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos. That being said, let's dive into today's video. So today, I'll be going through a special graph with you guys which shows so much about how you learn at poker and how you learn at everything you do. So when you first start something, you're very bad, right? You agree, when you first start poker, you suck. And when you start learning it, you have a quick learning curve quickly. So this graph here, which I'm going to break it down into segments so you can see why poker is getting harder each year for you personally. It's not the climate. I'm not talking about the market getting tougher, the competition getting tougher. I'm talking about for you, it gets harder to get better, it gets harder to improve. In this graph, it shows you why. So when you start something, you have a big growth curve at the start, okay? So it's because you're so bad, you know so little, that you learn a lot very quickly. So here, let's call this year one. We can say we have a growth curve like this. So the skill acquisition is huge, right? So in a year of doing something, you can go from being in the bottom, like 1%, to the top 30% or top 40%. So let's say in the first year, you learn a lot, you study, you grow, you put a lot of work in, you get into the top 40%, okay? So we're using the skill of the top 40%. You're still not great, but you're better than most people. You've done a year of it and you're getting good. What happens in this period is you feel really good about it. So this whole period here, the growth curve is huge, progress is good. Every day you wake up, you feel like you learn something new. You're like, this is awesome. This is really cool. I'm enjoying it. You're getting better, you're making more money, things are feeling really good, and you feel like you're on a straight line going up. However, year two, things go a bit slower. You haven't got as much to learn. You haven't got as much growth. So year two, let's say here, we could have year two. This is the worst two ever. We could say if you work hard for 2 years, you could get into the top 20%. So you're in the top 20% of skill for poker. So you've started from zero, you're one of the worst players. You're now in the top 40%, better than 60% of the competition. By year two, you're in the top 20% and you're better than 80%. However, something subtle has started to happen by now. The subtlety is the progression that you're making isn't as steep. The progress, the skill acquisition, you getting better than the people around you has slowed down. And this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel like we're making as much progress. We're judging ourselves very relatively. Am I getting better? Am I making progress? Am I improving? And as this progression starts to slow down, we start to doubt it. Am I getting better? Am I really getting better? And this is when doubts start coming. So you might be in the top 20% now. So this means you're probably a solid regular in the games that you're playing. Now though, the growth curve's slowing down. So this whole graph, in case I forget to tell you, is called the law of diminishing returns. It means the more effort you put in year after year is needed just to make smaller increases. So at first you have a big increase in skill acquisition for the time you put in, and then every year that goes by, you've got to work harder and harder to get less and less and less. So we're 2 years in, we're in the top 20%. Now we're going to go another year in, year three, and we're now in the top 10%. So for the whole of the year, first time we jumped 40%, then we jumped 60%, then we jumped 20%, now we jumped another 10%. So we're now in the top 10% of what we do within 3 years. This is possible. You can do this in almost anything you set your mind to if you've got the right drive, the right motivation, and the work ethic. So you're in the top 10% after 3 years. However, things are starting to flatten out now. Like they're really starting to flatten out. So your progress doesn't feel as much. So when we're trying to get better at stuff, we've got to feel like we're making progress. You've got to understand this model because this is so true for any skill acquisition. It's so true for your poker career. So if you've been playing 3 years and you've worked really hard and you've done well, you've got yourself in the top 10%. Awesome. Well done to you. Amazing. But what happens if you want to get into the top 1%? What happens if you want to get even further? Now, you've got to work equally as hard, if not even harder, for the next year, so say year 4, to get maybe into the top 5%. So now you've done a whole year. This is like a snail's pace. Like at first, it feels like every day you're getting better. Now it feels like you're working months, and you're only improving like a little bit. You can't even see it. It's so minute. So now you're playing a different game. At first, you're motivated by the progress you could see. Now you need to be more motivated by the process of getting better and understanding. You're not even seeing the increases now. You need to be showing up, studying every single day. And you're not seeing your game getting better because it's so micro now. And this is the game that most people aren't willing to play. A lot of players will get to this bracket, to the top 10%, and then they get comfortable. They are comfortable there because they're like, well, what's the point in working harder? It's not even worth it. Why should I sacrifice more to get just a little bit more? So that's where a lot of people drift off. But if you want to keep improving, you've got to put more work in to get further. So let's say you're in the top 5% now, and you want to go to the top 1%. You might have to work another year, which feels like a flat line, to get into the top 1%. And then you may need to work another year again until you get into the top, let's say year 6, and to get into the top 0.5%. So like it gets more and more and more, and the steeper you climb, so it's like a mountain that's getting steeper the more you climb up it. And now, what's happening, when you first started poker, you loved learning. You loved getting better. You got all this validation. Yes, I'm good. I'm getting better. Now, around year 3, it stopped. It feels like it stopped because it's so kind of small, incremental. Now you don't get the same pleasure from it because you're not increasing at the same rate. So you need to remind yourself, you're not seeing this monumental growth, but you're still improving. And you need to work hard to get small increases. There's a book called Mastery by Robert Greene who talks about this concept. To master something, to basically get from the top 10% to top 1% may take double the percentage of time. So let's say you're going from 0 to the top 10% of what you do, you might be able to do that in 3 years. It may take you another 3 to 5 years to get into the top 1%. You've got to really put the time and energy in, and it doesn't feel as good. So that's why it gets harder. It gets harder because the law of diminishing returns, I call it here. Diminishing returns. This is about skill acquisition, the law of diminishing returns. So you need to realize, are you committed to put in the work to get to those levels? Are you willing to work harder to get less? And the reason it's hard is because the mind thinks this is what's happening. The brain thinks that progress is linear. Okay? So it thinks that you get year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. It thinks it's a straight line. And it's you're looking for feedback in the environment to validate that. And all of a sudden, by year 2, by year 3, it's not a straight line. Now you start to feel bad about yourself for not making progress. So you need to realize that this is what's happening. The progress you're making is going to be smaller and smaller the higher you climb. It's a good sign. If progress is small, it's showing that you're getting to a level where it's getting competitive, it's getting tough, and you've got to go, am I willing to put the work in to get to that next bracket? And a lot of players don't. A lot of players, like I said, get top 10%, and they get lazy with their habits, either consciously or subconsciously, and they're like, wait a second, is it even worth it? Is it worth putting the work in? You got to ask yourself, is it? So obviously the climate itself gets tougher each year. Just poker's a quickly moving market, hasn't been professional for that long. So every year gets tougher with competition, but also you're naturally on this curve. Hopefully you're on this curve. This is like the improvement curve. If it's any flatter than this, that means you're staying still and you're not moving. So you want to be on this curve is like the dream scenario. And then you got to ask yourself, am I willing to invest another, let's say in the top 10% now, are you willing to invest another 2, 3, 4 years to get into that top 1%? And realize it's going to be harder. It's going to feel harder. It's going to feel like you're not making such progress. So then you go from looking at the progress you're making to obsessing over the process of getting better. Get in touch with the process of getting better rather than looking for the outward measures. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and this graph showed you why poker gets harder and harder each year you play. Now, if any of you guys are serious about taking your performance to the next level this year, I've got a few spots in my peak performance program which have just become available. If you click on the link in the description, you can go through to an application form to see if we're a good fit to work together. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Make sure you smash that like button before you go. There's going to be plenty more coming from me very soon.